Hey, what's up guys? So today I'm teaching you a really old trick by one of the giants in card magic. His name is Paul Cummins. The trick I'm teaching you today is sort of my handling and variation on this trick called Choice. It comes out of his book Fast to Do 2 or From My Shuffled Deck in Use Volume 2. So this trick relies on a mathematical principle that honestly I have no idea how it works. All I know is that it does work if you do it correctly. And so maybe if there's somebody out there watching this who is maybe a mathematician, David Murphy's wife, can tell us exactly how it works. Alright, so real quick before we jump into this, the deck that I'm using today is the new and revised edition of the Black Tiger deck from Illusionist. So if you ever wanted a Black Tiger deck, because they're sold out obviously, you can get the newest edition, which also has crushed stock and they feel very, very nice and they handle like butter. Not only that, my friends, you can also save 10% on your entire order at Illusionist using my discount code SeanDivine. So this is how the trick looks, alright? So let's imagine that we have a spectator here with us, helping us out for this trick. And so what they can do is take the deck and give it a complete shuffle as much as they want to, alright? So when they're done doing that, they put the cards on the table. Now you as a magician turn your head and you ask them to cut off some cards off the top of the deck, and maybe about a dozen or so, maybe less, it's up to them, all right? So no more than a dozen, all right? So they do that, maybe they cut off this many cards right here. And just for the sake of this video, we'll just count the cards right now, but if this was for, you know, a real trick that you would never know this number of cards, all right? So they count those. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards, all right? So what you do now is ask them to hide the cards, so you could have no idea how many cards they have. Now you ask them to, you're gonna show them some cards, and you ask them to remember the card at their secret number, all right? So you just start counting cards, all right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They probably got a card by now, right? So what we'll do, we'll just slap these on top and we'll give it a good shuffle just to mix those cards back in, all right? So what we'll do is we'll take some cards and we'll actually, you know what, before we do that, we will have them place their cards back in the middle like this. So everything is now lost back in the deck, all right? So what we'll do is make some piles of cards like this, maybe some here, maybe some there, and we'll go with 4 piles, all right? So just like this. Now, what we'll have them do is make some choices. Let's say we want to have them choose some packets, so we'll have them just touch 2 packets, all right? So maybe these 2 right here, so we'll just pick these up. Now we'll have them just point to one, maybe that one right there, and we'll just have them place their hand directly on top of it like this, so no cards can get out of there, right? So what we'll do is we'll just say, look, are any one of these cards your card? And we'll just show them some cards, and no, we do not see the card that we are thinking of, all right? So they're still doing this, all right? So what we'll do is we'll just reach under and we'll try to grab a card, maybe that one, all right? So was this your card? No, it was not. Maybe that card. Was that your card? No, it was not. For the first time, what is the card you're just thinking of? From the pile that you chose, your card that you're just thinking of is the Ace of Diamonds. All right, so let's just take a look at what is happening from a technical standpoint, all right? So presentation aside, this is what's going on with the cards, all right? So what's going to happen is, you know, you ask them to shuffle, and then you put it on the table and you ask them to take off some cards off the top of the deck, no more than a dozen, right? So it can't be more than 12. That's why you say that, all right? So they cut off some cards, maybe a little bit like this, and you want to make it very clear that you do not want to know the secret numbers. So you turn your head and you ask them to silently count the cards so I could not know how many you have, all right? So they do that. Let's say they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards. Now you say to them that you're going to show them cards one by one, and they already remember the card that's at their secret number, all right? So you just take a card off like this and say 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's their card, that's their number, so we'll leave it face up so we can follow along. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12. Now when you get to 12, you want to say, look, have you got one yet? They probably got one by now. Now, you don't want to just abruptly stop at 12 for seemingly no reason. When you reach 12, you want to say, have you got one yet? And just do it, casually and just drop it on the table and they'll say, yeah, they have one. Now, what you're going to do here is pick up this pile and put it on top of the deck like this and give it a jog shuffle, just to, act like you're mixing the deck up, all right? So you undercut about half, in jog one, and shuffle off. Now, what you're going to do here is lift up at the end jog like this to keep a break above that stock, all right? So now you start to go into making the piles, and you see, like, what we're going to do is make some piles like this, and then as an afterthought, as a seemingly afterthought, you say, look, actually, take your cards and put them back. Now, as you do that, I'm going to lift at that break, all right? So they put their cards back right on top of that stock that you just dealt, all right? So they do that, and then you just dribble them back on top, keeping a jog, lift at that jog, and then cut to the break. So all those cards are now on top of the deck. Now here's the cool part, the part that I don't really understand. No matter how many cards they cut off, and no matter what card they look at, when you do everything I just told you to do, their card is always going to be at position 13 from the top of the deck. It always happens that way, and honestly, I have no idea why. Maybe it's a simple thing. Mathematically, I'm just kind of slow at math. Anyway, it's always going to be at number 13 with the procedure I just showed you, all right? So their card is at number 13. Now, what you're going to do now is make 4 piles of seemingly random cards, all right? So what actually happens is the first pile you lay down is going to be 4 cards. Then the other 3 piles will be 3 cards each, all right? So 4, 3, 3, 3, which is 13. All right, so you say, look, we'll just make some piles of cards like this. So you just spread off 4 cards, which is easy. You just spread and look at 4 cards and put them down, all right? So, and obviously don't say 4, 3, 3, 3 as you're doing it. Just do it without calling attention to it, all right? So just do it casually, as if you're not counting, as if it doesn't matter. You're just making piles of cards, all right? So we'll just make some piles of cards like this, maybe some there, maybe one there. We'll do one more. And if you notice, the last pile you deal will have their card on the bottom of the packet. So now you just put the deck aside, and now it's just a matter of magician's choice. All right, so you say, look, we'll do this. We'll pick some piles. All right, so take 2 fingers and point to 2 of them. All right, so if they pick 2 piles that doesn't have their card, you take them away like this and put them in your hand. If they pick 2 piles that does have their card, you do the same thing. All right, so we'll just take these away like this, and you don't call attention to it. You don't call it anything. You're just doing it, all right? So you're not saying, look, pick 2 piles. We'll take these away. We'll eliminate them. You're not saying any of that. You're not making it weird. You're just doing it casually, all right? So let's say they do, in fact, pick these 2 piles right here, and then what you do is you pick these up, and you put them over here aside. Now you say, look, take 2 fingers again and touch both piles. Now you say, look, lift one of your hands up, all right? So when they do that, if they lift this finger up, you put this pile on top of the cards. If they lift this finger up, you do the same thing. It doesn't matter which one they lift up. You're putting this one away every time, all right? So just pay attention to where their card is, all right? So if they lift this finger, put these over here. If they lift this finger, put them over here, all right? So when they do that, say, look, your finger's already on that card, so take your whole hand and cover it, all right? So by the way, have you seen your card in here? So while they are still covering their card, you say, look, is your card anywhere in these cards? And they say no, so put those back on top of the deck, all right? So they're doing this. Say, look, what I'll have you do is actually I'll reach under and just try to take a card out to see, is that the card you're thinking of? They'll say no, and all you're doing here is taking off the 2 top cards, all right? So, but they don't really realize that under their hand. It feels kind of weird, all right? So take off the top card like this, and you say, is that your card? They say no. Do it again with this top card, reach under, boom, is that your card? They say no. For the first time, what is the card you're just thinking of? They say Queen of Diamonds. Now you just recap. Say things like, remember, you shuffled the deck, you cut off as many cards as you wanted to, and I showed you some cards, and you're just thinking of a card. There's no way I can know what that card is. There were some piles, you chose this one, we took cards away. For the first time, what is the card you're just thinking of? And they say Queen of Diamonds, they say lift your hand, there's 1 card left after all that, turn it over, and is in fact the Queen of Diamonds is a card they're just thinking of. Alright, so that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all your time that you spend watching these videos. I really have a blast making them for you, and I really hope you learned something new. Until next time, happy practicing. I love you guys.